But I do suggest that you don't wear gloves doing this part, because the tape spends more time stuck to your gloves than it does doing the job that you want it to. Hey, welcome back to my channel. It's Wendy here from Toonpish Crafts, and I hope you're doing okay. A couple of weeks ago, I put out a video on a technique that I came up with a couple of years ago. For some reason, it never made a video, and I don't quite know why. I thought I'd put it in one, but obviously hadn't. Anyway, it was very popular, and a lot of people said that they would try this technique. And I've had quite a few other YouTubers saying that they're doing videos on it, and that just, oh, that's brilliant. I love it. Claire also put out a video from Claire's Crafty Corner, and I'll put her channel link in the description box below. So I'm going to elaborate on this technique this time. I'm going to do slightly different things with it and show you that some things are simpler than you think they're going to be. So this is the mould that I'm going to be using. It's the Let's Resin 11-ounce bowl mould, and it's ideal for this technique. It was the same mould that I used the first time I used this technique, and I think it fits the technique absolutely beautifully, but that doesn't mean to say you've got to use this mould. You can use whatever mould you like. I'm going to use the royal blue from the chrome set again. That is exactly the same colour as before. I do love this blue though, and I wanted to do a dark background, and for the project that I have in mind, the blue fit really well. So to start with, I'm going to cover the entire sides right the way around this mould with the blue. I use the glove hand because it's quicker, and in my eyes it's more accurate. If you're not comfortable with doing that, however, you can use a brush. But once it's all done, I do go around and burnish the colour in quite significantly to make sure it's completely uniform and covered well. By the way, I just want to say a thank you to Let's Resin for sponsoring this video. Everything I use in this video is Let's Resin, and all the links will be in the description box below. Now it's time to reach for the tape, but I do suggest that you don't wear gloves doing this part, because the tape spends more time stuck to your gloves than it does doing the job that you want it to. You can use any sticky tape that you want. I have duct tape. Doesn't mean to say you've got to use duct tape. I'm going to go around this bowl. Now last time I did quite a large swipe with the tape. This time I'm doing small areas, very, very small, light touch with the tape. In fact, I use the tape over and over and over, when last time I just kept getting another bit of tape because it was covered in mica. This time I didn't mind that it was covered in mica. I wanted a light touch. So once I'd gone round the outside edge with the tape and taken off as much of the colour as I wanted, I grabbed the next colour, and on this occasion I'm using purple. But I'm not just going to put the mica in the areas that have no colour. I go over the entire piece with the colour. Now you've heard me say on numerous occasions, whatever colour hits the mould first is the colour you'll see, and that is the case. But if you put a colour behind the first colour, it's going to change it. So if you don't do that, you're going to get a patchy effect, because the colour behind, although you won't see it at the front, will change the front colour ever so slightly. So make sure you go over the entire colour with the second colour. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Once I've done that, I use a large fluffy brush to take off any loose mica. And it does actually take most of the purple off from the blue, so it comes back to a nice blue colour. And then I go over again with the tape. Just lightly, just a little bit, just to give little flecks, trying to avoid the purple that I'd already put down. I'm trying to do this tape in between the purple pieces, and you can just about see them when you're going around the outside edge with the tape. And then I choose another colour, and this time I'm choosing the blue. Now this blue is a turquoisey blue. It's quite a sweet blue in my opinion. More green than blue, but it's still blue. You know what I feel about green? I cringe every time I think about green. I know that's not fair to green and I don't want to be biased, but you know, it's green. We're not going to have green in a night sky, and this is going to be a night sky, believe me. So again, I go right the way around it with that colour, and at the end, dust off all the loose powder with a large fluffy brush. And again, with the tape. This is going to be the last time I use the tape. Very, very slight, very gentle, hopefully getting the tape in the areas that I haven't put the previous 3 colours. And the last colour I'm going to use is Galaxy. This is not in Let's Resin Chrome set. This is one of their chameleon pigments, but it's Galaxy, and I figured it would go really nice on a night sky. So again, I go over the entire piece with the Galaxy. So the Galaxy will pick up all the silicone that has no mica. Now here's where it gets a little different. I figured not everybody could cut out stencils, but they might be able to cut out stickers. This is a piece of sticker paper. That's all it is, sticker paper. And I've cut out some shapes on the sticker paper that I can take off and use the sticky part on the mica. I've not tried this before. This is the first time I'm doing it, but I figured it would work. As long as the sticky is sticky enough, it should take off most, if not all, of the mica and leave me with a shape. And I figured that would make a great planet in a night sky. So I get the silver chrome powder out of the box and I colour in that area with silver, figuring that that's going to be a nice silver planet on my night sky. Now there's lots of other designs I've got on this sticker sheet, and again it's just random designs, but I wanted to do little planets and stars and asteroids and all sorts on this night sky. But aside from this project, what if I was doing a graveyard and I wanted ghosts? Or a fairy tale island and I wanted butterflies? This could really, really work. So I found some bits that look like rings around Saturn. They're just circles that have been squished. And again, I put them onto the mica areas, push them down, and with a bit of luck, I will take off the mica that's underneath the sticker area. This does open up a lot of things, a lot of possibility, you know, and I'm quite pleased with this idea. It does work. I don't think this particular sticker paper is very sticky. It's cheap, it's very thin, but it's working. Now I want to make this look a little bit like Saturn. I don't think I put circle in the right place, to be fair. I think I needed to put one line, then the circle, and then the second line. But I'm just playing around here trying to get things to work. I've never done this before, but I do think it's working quite well at the moment. So I just go on around the outside edges, putting stickers on and taking little areas off. I do a star, I do another planet. I'm getting quite happy with this. I'm really enjoying myself. Then I figured I'd get out the sticky earbuds. Now the sticky earbuds I've used before. They are basically for getting wax out of your ears, but they're sticky and they stay sticky, so you can wipe them off. So they will take mica off of an area. You can then clean them with a baby wipe and they're still sticky, so you can do it again somewhere else. I figured they would make great little stars or planets in the distance, and I just kept going and having lots of fun with this. And then I coloured those pieces in gold instead of silver, just to make it different. This was a lot of fun, I must say. But you could just keep going. You could do all kinds of designs. It doesn't have to be planets. I just think this has so much potential. When I'm happy with everything that I've done, I go over with a big fluffy brush to take off any loose powder at all over this. And then I turn the bowl in the right way. Now I've changed my gloves here, and I didn't want the mica to come off from the gloves, so I actually got some white mica that was sitting to one side, and covered my gloves with a fine powder so that they weren't going to just take off the mica. The gloves are already powdered, even though they are new gloves. Now it comes to the bottom, and I've decided to do the bottom as the moon. So I went to Creative Fabrica and downloaded a picture of the moon. I then put it on my X tool and cut it on the same very cheap sticker paper in my X tool. You could do that on a Cricut very easily, but I've left it all together because even though the moon has lots of detail on it, I've left the entire piece in one here, and then as I colour I can remove bits. I'm going around the outside edge with the blue just to make sure that the line is nice and straight around the outside of the moon, and then I start to take off bits and colour those bits in. The moon isn't just one solid colour, and this is actually, believe it or not, the actual map of the moon. I don't know which colours are meant to be darker and which colours are meant to be lighter, but I've just decided to go with silver and add some black in to make it a little darker in places, so it's not one uniform colour. So each time I take a piece off, I change the colour of the mica very slightly, either lighter or darker, to get some kind of mottled moon effect. And I pat the area that I have removed and coloured. I then move on to the next bits, and I decided to go with 2 areas of the same colour. So I'm still using the darker colour mica mix that has black in it. I then add a little bit more black to the mix to get a darker grey, and I take off the next patch and a couple of little tiny bits as well. Remember, this is just sticker paper. I mean, you could actually do a design on sticker paper with a Stanley knife, with a sharp blade on a cutting board. You don't have to have a fancy piece of machinery. You could do it yourself. You could print out a picture on the sticker paper and cut round it with a knife or a pair of scissors and get your own stencils that way. So after a while, then comes the bigger part of the moon, which is one of the side parts. And as I've been using quite dark grey, I decided to go back to a lighter colour for this part. So I decided to go back to just silver. But I do make sure when I take pieces off that I've pushed the rest of the sticker down back onto the silicone. As I said, this isn't very sticky stuff. This is very cheap, sticky label paper. The cheapest you can buy, but it works. You can buy it from Amazon. It's very easy to get hold of, but it does work. So this colour is just the silver holographic from the chrome set. And I then decided to add some white to it to lighten it up for the last piece. So we've got a really light silvery mica for the rest of the moon. And so the rest of the sticker comes off. And that's the rest of the moon. Now I wanted it to not be very uniform. So I'm using a makeup sponge here just to dab some of this really light colour over the area. And then going to just white on its own and getting it all over my hands on the process, I then go on to just dabbing the rest with just white. So I've got kind of a mottled area of the moon. Now the moon is definitely a mottled colour, it's not just one. It's not made of cheese, in case you thought it was. It is definitely more white and grey than anything else. And I just carry on dabbing the whole thing, and then I go over it with a light fluffy brush to get rid of all the loose mica. And again, I blow off the excess. So now I'm ready to pour the resin, and I'm going to use Let's Resin 2-part epoxy resin for this. I'm using the Let's Resin mixer to mix this mix up with the large paddle, which you can see does a really wonderful job of not adding too many bubbles. And with its AI feature, you can walk away. But with any mixer, you still need to scrape the sides and the bottom to mix in any unmixed resin. I'm going to use the Let's Resin black pigment paste. Now this is a paste, it's not a liquid, and as such you need to mix it thoroughly. So I add a little bit of the resin into a small container and add the colour, and that gives me the opportunity to mix the colour in nicely so that there's no little lumps or little blobs left in there. I then add a little bit more of the resin into the cup, mix again, before I pour that into the main body of the resin. Now this is a good tip, not just to use for paste but for mica as well. It is always good to mix your colours in a small container and then add it to the main body. That way you're going to make sure it's properly mixed. When I'm happy that all the black has now been mixed into the clear resin, I'm going to put it in the degassing machine. And because I like watching it so much, I try to film it on a time lapse for you to see too. It's mesmerising. And when it's finished, I squirt the top with isopropyl alcohol just to pop those bubbles that have risen to the surface. Now I can pour it into my bowl mould. I pour a small amount to start with and whiz it round the bottom to try and get rid of any stuck air that may have got stuck round the rim of the bowl. I don't want to be sticking sticks in there because that might disrupt the pattern that I've so lovingly made on the edges of the mould. But I don't want bubbles either, so I do squish and shimmy that mould around to get rid of those stuck bubbles. Then I can fill it up completely to the top, spray it with isopropyl alcohol and leave it to cure overnight. The following day I can demould, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this one. I think with the different colours and the moons and the stars around the outside, this is definitely more of a unisex style bowl. It's going to appeal to all those that like astronomy or stars or spacemen, that kind of thing. And although it's definitely different, I can see the moon there. Can you see the moon? My husband couldn't see the moon, but I could see the moon. Going around the outside edge, all the little pieces from the stickers came out really well. And the little dots of the stars inside and outside this bowl just work. And even the Saturn one looks quite good, but I don't think that ring's in the right place. I really like this bowl. This was no stencils. You can cut this yourself with sticker paper and you've got a really nice design, and I absolutely love this. Again, there is so much potential from this technique. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this one and I hope you've got something out of it. Come back and see me next week, because you never know what I'm going to be up to. I never know what I'm going to be up to. I might have an extra one out on Friday as well, so look out for that. But if you've subbed and got the notifications bell pushed, you won't have to look out for it. It'll do it for you. Anyway, have a great week. Happy crafting, and bye for now.